Today on the WTF's Crypto Space podcast, we talk articles that predict the future of Bitcoin that we predicted months ago. We also have an even more intense and informative chat with Suryanata Wongtomo from CanYa. All this and more on the WTF's Crypto Space podcast. Stay tuned. You're smart. You know how to listen to suggestion and make your own decisions, right? We're just two Aussie brothers talking shit about cryptocurrency, so do yourself a favor. Research the topic before doing anything financially. Now, for that banging intro music.
Welcome to WTF is Crypto Space. I'm Brett.
And I am Chad.
This podcast is all about the crypto space.
It's shout out.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I got really excited there.
You go with the shout out now.
Okay, cool.
Well, you shout out, yeah.
All right, Chad.
How about now?
We hit the big time. Shanghai, China.
Oh, we made it there.
I didn't even know they could get our downloads. And Kiev.
I didn't know they can. Exactly.
Kiev.
I'm waiting for North Korea. I'm waiting to get into North Korea.
Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Kiev. Ukraine.
Oh, okay. I thought we got to the chicken factory.
And also, topped this list, Stoke Newington, they were down lower, and this time, boom, UK.
Smashed it up to the top,
also,
all the way to the top.
Maybe that's Giuseppe shouting out and with his mates. And then Singapore. Singapore's back on that list. And Melbourne, Australia. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We've also got New York. Seems like double city barrel names this time. Dallas, Texas. LA, California. And San Francisco, California.
I'm stuck on Dallas, Texas. And I'm stuck on pulled pork and barbecue. And we're not talking like the grill that we talk about grilling. I'm talking
You're talking like Jimmy.
Barbecue. Oh, barbecue. Anyway, guys, today's topics is... I'm still being vegan, by the way. Today's topics is Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency could reach 100,000 investors claim. And we continue our interview with the gentleman from CanYa, Suryanata Wongtomo.
The one, the only, the legend.
So, Brett, today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Now, let me just quickly ask you a question. How many months ago did you say that we potentially might hit $100,000 with Bitcoin?
I dropped it in a conversation a little while ago. But
yeah.
I've heard plenty of people say it'll hit 100, but we also said here at this show it will hit 40, 64, and 100, just for those listeners out there that are paying attention.
Well, I'm currently looking at a thing from the UK, a gentleman who thinks he's a front runner, Joseph Carey. Joseph, we're going to put your article in here. Don't worry. He's saying that it potentially might reach 100,000, which is a good prediction. If he's saying it and it's hitting like the actual news, this could actually, one, it could boost the prices just because, and two, it could actually boost the prices just because. So I think this is a great opportunity to get into Bitcoin if you haven't gotten into Bitcoin yet. You just look at what happened recently. We're just talking literally the last 2 months. During Christmas time, it went to 21,000.
25,000 chattels.
25. Sorry, I looked at it at the wrong time. Australian dollars.
Yeah.
So it hit it, and they're talking about that it's gone down.
Now, what I got to put one out here, right? This is an interesting piece. It's nice they're talking it up. I fully understand. Let them go. In the article, Chad, he says, I believe that roughly 5% of the world's population or less owns any cryptocurrency. And if the trends of Venezuela continue and in Zimbabwe, if those continue, it looks as though there is going to be no slowdown. Now, this guy is full of crap.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's nice that he might be putting out these numbers, but where's your backup? Where's your evidence? Let's show us what you've got.
5%. What
like,
the hell
where
are you
did he
talking
get these names
about?
from? Or these numbers from? Like, maybe he's got that from wallets, or I don't know. It's like maybe he just pulled this out of his ass.
Can I ask you, though, are you able to do a 7 billion divided by 100 times by 5 in your head? Because I can't. And if he's come up with that... and
I can come close, Chad.
So I'm thinking it's like in the vicinity of 140 million people.
That's a pretty good guess. But let's just say it's around that number, right?
Yeah.
That's 7-ish, 6.5 times the population of Australia for those people paying attention. That's
and Australians,
insane.
They've heard about it. They've gone, that is crap. Give me a beer. That's what they've said.
But even in here, Chad, in his article, he's saying things like, let's just assume that 10% of the world's population or 15% of the... Hey, let's just assume 100% of the world's population's in cryptocurrencies. Woo!
Let's assume cryptocurrency doesn't exist. That's as much of information as he fucking...
Do your own research. As Gerald Celente would say, think for yourself.
Thank you, Joseph Carey, for that misinformation on that article. So we're going to go now from some shit to some real good shit. We're going to talk...
That was a nice segue, Chad.
Thank you very much. Pointing it out, though, kind of defeats the purpose, but whatever. Suryanata Wongtomo, we're going to continue that conversation, and he's going to talk to us all about what he's doing with his work, his resources, and so much more. Let's go and listen right now.
In the Australian Corporations Amendment Act of 2017, it sort of talks about the fact that there's a cap of Australian $5 million for raised funds. So we sort of then touched on it in that last answer, but how do you feel that the role of tokenization will help or assist as we move forward in the crypto space?
This is a complicated answer. I believe it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. On the first component here is that tokens cannot be a security, which limits your use on ICO fundraising. Why do I say this is because that means even the good news is that you can raise a lot of money, right? The bad news is that if you raise a lot of money and if your business doesn't really need a token and you can't be a security, then it makes a big question of what's your token going to be like? And which leads to the point, you might raise a lot of money now, but how would your token survive in 3 years down the line? Here's a very interesting food for thought. Unlike traditional securities, where the value of the shares or anything, whatever you represents the value of a company. Your token doesn't represent the value of your company. Of course, it could be in a circumstance, say in a traditional space, you could have a company whose share value is below their book value. That's how Warren Buffett used to actually, get his value out of it. But this is exactly the same issue that will become, there will be for a lot of companies because your token might tank in value, but if your cryptocurrencies in F rise, you're basically, the company's value is quite a fair bit. And most ICO companies are like that. And even, whether their token does well or not, their book value is quite big because of the rise in F values. The aspect I would say, the other aspect I will basically say is simply ASIC doesn't really know what to do. Yeah. They have been very hands-off.
Wait and see approach.
Yeah, that's correct. But now in this year, they are putting a lot more effort to actually have a working group and really, in a sense, see how it's going. Australian regulators are not really... they are not at the bleeding edge. They will not pave ways. But they would definitely, they respond quickly enough. That's what I'll say. Comparatively to, say, Gibraltar, where we have had a very strong interest in setting up over there because they've been incredibly pro-crypto. Yeah. You can do a lot of things over there that you can't do here. Yeah, okay. I will be part of a working group for ASIC to discuss, token mechanics to see what, in a sense, will happen in Australia. But the simple answer is that it's good for companies if you have a use for your tokens. But if you don't, you're kind of left out in the dust. So,
well, that's another thing. When you're talking about the crypto space and then you're talking about tokens and companies and stuff like that, it's so interesting how the crypto space is full of shit coins. What is a project that you actually obviously besides CanYa and your other projects? What is a project that interests you in the crypto space?
I'm very in general. I'm very interested in three aspects. Okay. there has been a lot of issues coming up with fungibility of coins. We're talking recently. There was a can't remember the exchange, but basically the name hack, where hundreds of millions got hacked out. The simple first thing people discuss is, what you're gonna do. Name has said that it's not their issues, but they won't mind tagging the coins. That makes them non-fungible. The problem here is that how do you enforce that tagging? Because of this, I'm very curious to see the rise of privacy coins, and obviously as well as government becomes more capable in analyzing blockchain transactions. The reality is I won't be surprised that because I would say of the widespread use of Bitcoin and the ability to exchanges, obviously Bitcoin is one of the major pairs. You can basically know who's moving money where very easily.
Which is one of the things that we kept bringing up to people. Like they're like, oh, it's for the dark web and blah blah blah. It's like, guys, no. If you just read a couple of numbers, you'll know who's trading. It's easy to see.
Going back when we're talking about privacy coins, the big one I'm actually looking the impact as well is basically like how would those privacy coins that are optional privacy, such as Zcash, fare in the future? And also, it's like there's also a lot of new privacy coins coming up that have very different mechanism. My big interest is in Monero, purely because it's non-optional. You use it. The other big one is basically like Ethereum as well. They said that they are looking into it.
Yes, of course.
So I'm very curious to see. This is on the technological aspect,
and that's great.
But it's also a very big on, I guess it's like a social and governmental aspect. Do we see the maturization of privacy coin as a thing that people are gonna use on a daily basis, or is it still gonna be something fringe? And how the government's gonna react? Because I won't be surprised when some government comes out and said that the other tokens are fine. Privacy coins, we're not going to be, no. You never know what's going to happen. The other big one is basically challenges to Ethereum. There are a lot of projects coming up that basically touts as Ethereum killers. It's a very exciting time. Like, are they going to do it? But what I think is going to happen is that the market is going to consolidate into a few major players. How it's going to go, I am actually not too certain, purely because a lot of these projects are still in their infancies. But that said, I think the ones which are going to build good commercial partnerships are the ones that's actually going to be quite successful. I'm keeping a very strong eye on Icon. They are having their launch, and they are going to announce 12 dApps. So this is straight off mainnet. They're doing by that metrics, to me, it's like, what's NEM doing?
Yeah.
Right? Qtum's been there for a while. It's like what's there to show?
Yeah. Wow.
Now, you
apps.
saw that the Weiss, because you know how the Weiss measurements they brought out in this last few weeks, and they obviously gave EOS a certain score against Ethereum. And the thing is, you've got EOS, for example, who hasn't delivered on any aspects yet there is that language of comparison, and as you were mentioning before, it means that misallocation of funds may be there at this stage until they start to develop some of these products as they go through. So how do you think then the crypto space might then contribute towards equity and liquidity for businesses and startup organizations then going forward, because we obviously want to see capital head towards projects that will have a strong impact?
I think the simple answer is twofold. Good projects basically will get the attention. Yes, obviously that's a simplification, but we're talking about the long term, right? The strongest will survive. We live in a capitalist society. For the most part, it will be the case, right? Yes, there are catch, but why I'm not so concerned, because we're in the early stages. You don't have a huge company throwing the weight around. You don't have a huge platform where there's entrenched users that even though it's an inferior product, it's hard to leave, right? It's the same thing, right? For example, it's like the banks want to get customers onto their bank instead of from a competitor. But come on, it's a pain in the ass to change your bank. We can complain about X bank is crap, but you never really leave, right? Yeah. We don't have that kind of issue. The other aspect is just simply security token. That's also one thing that I really like. I forgot to mention. I think it's going to become very interesting. As far as I know, there's been a few projects in the States that are doing that. But the problem here is that you require an exchange that is legally allowed to deal security tokens. To be fair, there are already a lot of illegal security tokens out there. I just think the government's, they are taking a hands-off approach. And if people ask, curious as what's that? To me, it's like, let's look at Binance Coin, right?
Absolutely.
It's a bloody security, right? That goes for cost, that goes for KuCoin shares. Jesus Christ, it's called KuCoin shares. Right? The gist of the idea, look, I like the idea. As a whole, it's a token that gives you dividend or revenue or however it goes. Yes, people can argue that it is an utility that reduces the fees, but to me, it's like you also have other things. If you look at it, doesn't pass the Howey test. No, for sure not. If you look at what ASIC has actually mentioned, straight on is like it shouldn't have. The biggest thing is that it shouldn't have an expectation of built-in return. Increase in capital. Right? In this case, which is why an example straight on is like Golem. It's a decentralized computing network. You use Golem to use it. There's no expectation of return, right? But if you have something that basically is like KuCoin share is that we're going to give you a dividend, we're going to buy. Binance buys back, right, the token and burn them intentionally based on how much they earn a profit. Hello, that's share buyback. But I think a formal mature market is very exciting because this means you can have worldwide people that's actually, putting money into it. One thing I've always really hated about Kickstarter was the fact that if I'm going to give you money, for an experimental product that most of the time is delayed, come on. It's like, give me an ownership of your company, right? Even if it's like 0.0.2, or else to me it's like this is just toy money. Yeah. It's not great.
Exactly, and how many of those projects never delivered on those aspects? So you've been in the crypto space, and as we said, for quite a number of years. And so you naturally have come across many, many different resources and different things that have helped you along your journey as you've educated yourself, but educated others, I know, in the crypto space. For your perspective, is there a couple of resources that you might have lent on along the way that you think might help those coming into or finding their journey through the crypto space?
Unfortunately, as of this stage, I actually really don't see an easy way to get into a space that people can pick up easily. Heck, I think learning programming is so much more easier than learning the crypto space, and programming is a difficult subject matter for a lot of people. Absolutely. As is. However, if I were to say for newcomers, the simple thing is to go to CoinMarketCap, go to the top 100 coins, click on the website, have a read on their website what they're trying to solve, and have a read at the white paper if possible. Not all projects are very technical. A lot of them are trying to just solve a problem. But obviously, the difficult part for a lot of people is that they don't have the certain fundamental aspect. I'm by myself as much more skeptical, so I'm not easily swayed by buzzword bullshit, which is also a big thing. I actually didn't buy into the Icon ICO, which returned like 80 times, simply because to me it's like, you're promising a lot. Let's build your thing first, then I'll buy into it. But I missed out. But that's how the nature of the game is, right? In this particular aspect, just a bit of skepticism is not unreasonable if you really want to learn. The other aspect is, in the long run, I would say that it isn't hard to find skilled people. I'm also learning from a lot of other skilled people as well. And it did take me a bit. This is, I would say, substantially harder than the previous one. You get a lot of chat groups, you get a lot of friends, but the reality is that in my phone, I probably have about 15 to 20 different groups. There's probably about 3 that I feel like it's, that has a level of quality that's incredibly high. The rest of the stuff, unfortunately, is like just not there. It's like a lot of people talk about things as substantially far more, how should I put it, basic. And that's not because it's not a bad thing. It's just I think people should realize, it's not just me hanging out with other people. It's me hanging out with good people. I guess the simple thing is just like, if I'm going to improve in my sport, I have to play with better people, right? Absolutely. That's pretty much all it is. I would say this is a very strong sentiment, not just mine. If you look at a lot of Melbourne meetups, especially the very big legacy one that gets run in SoftBank, the people who actually operates companies in the space, the people who are really good in Melbourne that I know, they don't show up. No. And I mean, it's not just my opinion, right? If they don't show up, then they also say something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, well, before you go, I want you to tell our listeners where they can follow you and your work, and maybe even contact you and find out a bit more about you.
This is something I feel really bad for people who do want to follow me. I don't really publish a lot of my things openly. But I do really welcome people to just contact me on LinkedIn. My phone number's there, so definitely, feel free to do so. The reason why I don't publish is just I'm a lazy writer, unfortunately. But the other aspect is just I think a lot of the things that I get the first round of information I discuss tends to be things that I'm not really allowed to talk about publicly.
Yeah, makes sense.
And look, although you might say or coin yourself as a lazy writer, we do really appreciate you sitting down for the podcast today. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Again, amazing.
He was a legend, and he was a really good sport, like absolutely a huge sport. We had lots of fun down at the offices that we went there. Then he joined us for the crypto conversations afterwards in Melbourne.
We want to thank Paul from Recognite and the team for actually letting us use their facilities to record
putting us
that.
up. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Like us once and comment in the chat below. Also, you can comment on the website also. Brett, we have a Twitter.
WTF Crypto Space.
Brett, we have a Facebook group.
Crypto Space. Nice and easy.
Brett, do you wanna say this one or should I?
Well, absolutely. I'm so proud of it. You've done a great job, Chattels. WTFcryptospace.com is our website.
That's the website. It's got the information. You've got last week's. You can catch up on all the stuff. If you have newcomers, you can show them that website.
Just shoot it to them.
Shoot that whole website to them. Say hello. You can comment. The comments are on. So we want you guys to chat and continue the conversation. Another place you can continue the conversation and share with your family and friends. Also, click subscribe to this podcast to get your weekly podcast updates from us knuckleheads. And you'll get it in your podcast feed every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But until next time, I'm Chad.
And I'm Brett.
Let's get excited about the crypto space.
The transition has begun.
At the end, I'm thinking I want to change it to but until next time, I'm the youngest, he's the oldest, and that's always going to be the same way. I'm never going to be older than him. Fantastic. At least I'm not the oldest person in my family.
Shut up.